with Africans here. Actually, that event that I threw was at an African restaurant and everything, and they told us, the Africans were coming there as well and giving their input, and it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
The thing that at the end of the day, funding was limited, so we were unable to really
Yeah. The
uh,
funds was limited because the people wasn't supporting. Am I correct?
well, no, the people that were in the think tank were definitely
Well,
investing
no,
and putting
I'm
their
not
money.
talking about those people. You already know the people in the think tank are invested in it. I'm talking about the greater community. Like the greater community, you have to get the greater community involved when it comes to fundraising.
On October
So
3rd
like
through
even
October
though you
5th,
have a
the
think tank,
entire
the
debate
think
will come
tank
together
still
for
needs to
3
be
nights,
funded.
one platform,
You have to
one
fund the
spectacle.
think tank.
This is
You
not
got a
just
bunch of
another
smart
debate event.
motherfuckers.
This
Them
is the
smart
grandest
motherfuckers need
stage
to
of
get
them all.
paid
Debate
to keep
Mania
them
is the
damn
That's
premier
what
people.
I'm
of the
saying.
debate community. The Super Bowl
That's
of
what
Let's
I
keep
was
intellect,
that
saying.
shit
the
flowing.
So
WrestleMania of
even with
words,
the
Think
think
tank
tank,
keep
the
the
it
think
brightest
rolling.
tank can
minds,
only
the
invest
fiercest rivalries, the biggest
so
stakes.
much. The think
Here,
tank can only
champions are
invest so
made,
much. And if
legacies are written,
you're not
and
getting a
only the sharpest minds survive. Debate Mania is the grandest
return on
stage
that
of intellect.
investment,
2 voices, 2 visions,
you're just
one destiny.
wasting money pretty
For
much. Because
generations, the
what's the
fight for
point of
black
coming up
liberation has taken many forms.
with new
But at Debate Mania, the battle is not fought
technology
with
if it's
fists.
not going to make
It
It
money
is
is.
for
fought
you?
with
So
ideas.
it
In one corner, the pseudo
has
Hunter
to.
Hayru conscious, a fearless atheist, a
Like,
relentless
all
skeptic.
right, so yeah,
He
what's
believes
the
Pan-Africanism is
point
an
of
outdated ideology.
spending
And at Debate
billions?
Mania,
Like,
he
let's say
plans to
that
prove it. But standing in his way
African
is the
community
champion, the
getting
defender of
one
the people, the voice of
mind,
pride,
unified,
power,
have
and
a think
Pan-African
tank,
unity.
and
Super
get
Pan-Man,
together like
Pan-African
$100,000,
atheist. Two
$200,000,
giants of thought,
$1 million
2
even.
unstoppable
And
forces,
we take this $1
one
million
collision
and invest
that
in
will
some
shake the foundations
technology
of the Versus
that
series. This is more
makes
than a debate. This is the main event. This
absolutely no
is
money
Debate
for
Mania,
it, but we got this
only on Paradigm Shift TV
technology,
314. Be there
but
for
we're
this
not
historic reunited event.
benefiting off of it. So we just threw away $1 million, and now we at a deficit. This has to increase. It has to turn over a profit in order for us to do something
Okay,
else.
so
And
like
this will be the
that,
last
this the
project we
reason why
do
come I
if we
said
just throw that $1 million away.
we was next.
profitable for years upon years after they've developed their initial thing. So AI right now, if you look up any of those companies that what's it called, Claude and all these different like Grok and different open AI, they are billions of dollars in debt, like 700 billions of dollars, right? And they're unable to keep up with the demand, because then that's why they're like actually trying to buy all the nuclear power plants and all the water and everything to try to even keep the energy generated enough to even keep these things going as it develops even more and becomes even more um as their learning models become even more advanced, right? So yeah, the companies that are using AI could probably become profitable, but the actual company that is actually giving the AI at the moment are not profitable and they are in debt. So the reason why I brought that up is because he was saying about profitability of any tech company that you do, and that's not normally how tech works. It takes a long time to become profitable, and it's really based on investment. But the main thing, I didn't want to like make this into a technology we're going back into Africa and how when it really comes down to it, a lot of the resources um, that are needed company in America, those things are sewed up. However, it's like in Africa, they already have Facebook over here, but don't necessarily have the same access to a lot of the apps that we have over here. So I would think it would be a great idea to go over there and as well a technology giant. Why not?
has in an investment in something. But all of these facts and figures and all this kind of stuff, when you're pitching an idea, you're pitching the projected, the current and projected profitability of that particular business that you are looking a little grim and all that kind of stuff. But it is nothing, none of these businesses are just by chance. They are all with the intention of getting where they need to be. They understand the amount of money that needs to be put into them. They understand that, and to the point about the 7 years and all that, like I have never heard of no business. I've spent time around various different millionaires and spent time reading books from millionaires and all types of things, and I've never heard of any business that was not going to be looked at as where you project the profitability of that business anything less than 5 to 7 years, no matter what the industry is that you're going into or whatever. Now the amount of money that it takes to get that business to where you want it to be might be different depending on the industry or the where you're trying to go, but those people know what they're spending money on and how what that's going to look like when they do it. Nobody goes into something spending money. These types of people, at least, are not going into something and spending money on something without get their money back.
What happened is Laurel was saying that we needed to in order for if we were to be going into Africa to like create something, uh, we would need to create something for the community and have to be profitable and this that the other. And I was saying, well, most technology companies are not necessarily right off the rip profit. Yeah, there's no way that that would, even if we built it. I mean, and I'm a great software engineer, and I even there's no all done with
Yeah.
investment. But here's I was really trying to bring the whole idea of like I said, it's everybody was going to California getting gold, right? So in Africa, they are building up their technology there. So
Let
we
me
are
let me
part
help.
of.
Saying is you want to westernize or basically get Africa all the way up to date. And but I feel you though, because we're actually getting the minerals from Africa
Yeah,
that are in your technology. Everything that's in your technology, those minerals
yeah,
are
that's
all
what it
coming from
is.
Africa. That's why they're in this big old uproar over everything because it all happens to deal with the gold, the diamonds, all those things that they put in your technology to make it go. Then not to mention the infrastructure. So you would have to bump everything up to 5G, and all that. They would have to get all that going. They would be out there. It would be the whole cell phone rush. All that would be better. So I feel what she's saying. Like if anybody needs to be doing that, it needs to be the black people behind that, not letting the
Right.
white people come out there and set up our shit. Even though it would be all in house for us anyways. And then, like you said, that market's kind of untapped for all that Americanized type of living and things like that. So of course you would bring I guess the black westernized standard of living over there type of thing, and then it would all mix, mingle, and gel together. So I feel what you're saying, Monica.
It,
I see what you're saying about
it just sounds a
the
little
technology too,
fantastic. It
because
sounds like a fantasy because you
you
have
got
to
to get
deal with
everybody on one
practicality and
accord.
reality. And so even if you take in your westernized black mind over there where these people already have, like we're talking about technology, the example that was used was cell phones, although in AI. But what I'm saying is that those places are already being tapped into. Just even talking about getting the type of technology that you would need to get it upgraded to 5G, getting all this stuff to where you getting the mines where you have access to it. And I'm not saying that these things are impossible, but I'm saying where's the practicality? There needs to be a plan. That there needs Where's the funding going to come from? How you can't just go over there with an idea and just think that you're just going to start doing stuff. It's not going to happen like that. And most of us do not have the type of money that it takes to pay to play in that type of in that realm. And so with there already being very companies and things like that, what is the probability of being able to go over there and tap in on the level that we would have to in order for that to be significant? Who's gonna convince somebody to stop using Roller, AT&T, Samsung, and whoever else that's out there because the whole world use them?
They don't have the same companies that we have here.
Phones.
Oh,
They don't have
okay.
they don't have all the brand new tablets and all that stuff out there like that. Not all of them. But I mean, the issue with you would run into is because
Are
Africa
they
is so broken up with so many different countries in Africa. So that's getting all them on one accord would be an issue. But moving in and setting up shop, now that
so,
should be open free
so
game.
we're
Of
gonna so
course,
we're gonna take black we're gonna take people from using black people who are used to using the things that I just described. Like we got a whole Apple cult following, okay? Where people have to you have an Apple iPad, a watch, a phone, a tablet, a
that's
goddamn.
Apple corner in the market
Listen,
though.
but what I'm saying is that the idea that you're going to, we even just were talking about this the other day where a guy was on here was how do I protect my stuff? Like like people are not trying to go backward, even if they don't have the type. Maybe I'm off base here. Maybe
Yeah,
I'm
hold
not
on. Okay, Amir, I got you. So what they're doing in Africa is they got a bunch of factories and stuff like that, but it's all foreigners working there. So that's what the whole uproar in Africa is always about is they'll set up a factory I guess in the tribal areas and whatnot and not hire and not give any of the tribal people jobs. All the jobs would be given, I guess, to a bunch of foreigners, Chinamen, things of whites, all that type of stuff. And
They're doing it over here. They just had to shut down the
they're
Hyundai
going
plant
from
because all they did was hire a bunch of Koreans and stuff over at the Hyundai plant. So what they don't, whenever like a Asian company comes into a country, they do not be. They might hire a few, but they bring in people from Asia to run that
I
country.
Which is, I mean, that's
I
how they
feel like the
move.
goalpost
We
keeps
got to move like they
moving in this
move.
conversation because we started out talking about making technological advances. We talked about money. We went from there to talking about employment and them not giving the employment to the people in the tribes. Which are we actually talking about right here? Because I feel like I keep responding directly to what is being said, and then it's being said that that's not it, and then something else that we were not talking about gets brought up.
Well, hold on. The reason why I'm glad he brought up that whole thing is that people do bring up their companies in those countries, and they don't hire black. I'm saying if we were to do the same thing, we wouldn't do that. We would actually hire within that community,
That
have our
part.
own, yeah. So I'm not
Higher.
saying that people go over there and try to dominate and only bring over Black Americans to run our thing and be like that, like a colonizer, and try to dominate the market and like leave the people out of the situation. No, we would. There's a lot of talented tech people in these countries like Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana. You have like a lot of like even like because I'm like I said, me being a software engineer, there's a lot of Africans that come over here and work these corporations, but it's mostly Indian over here. But
You can't even get the tech without the minerals. Like you can't get that. You got literally got they got gold, it's platinum, it's diamonds. It's certain minerals that are. And why you think they always want the phones back? It's certain, like and so
So,
and they're getting that they pulling a lot of that from Africa.
That's my
so,
point. That's why I'm so
so,
like we keep dropping all these other things
But
on
it's
top
not.
so
of
I
we have
want to comment on the funding part, right? So, niggas have come up with a plan that can actually do that. Like, so the idea is to get a company that's powered by a million people. We even saying niggas, but a million people, and then we tax ourselves $40 a month for 2 years. You know what I'm saying? And we create a company that does exactly the things that we talking about. You know what I'm saying? That company would generate $40 million a month, $480 million a year. In 2 years, that's $980 million. You know what I'm saying? And then like that, we would keep that going. We would keep that company growing because of the membership dues from the million people, and then we would use the money that million people accumulate. We would make micro businesses to keep constantly funding, like a cycle. It's gonna keep constantly funding itself. That way, once it reach that billion dollar company stack, would be easy. It'll be easy, and we'll have way more
but we
leverage.
have a system right here in America that is built to leverage is built to leverage other people's money in order to fund your own businesses so that you can create so that you can empower the economy through business ownership
small business
and creating.
administration.
I'm sorry, say it
It's
again.
called the SBA, the Small Business Administration.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah,
We
but
have
that
these
but that's
things, and so
controlled.
I'm like, why would we be going the like that's why I keep saying like we have a system. The system that is here in America it works, and the reason why it works is because it was created to do a certain thing. All the system has to be is utilized.
But here's
Learn
the thing: what can we build in America that has not been built versus what can we build in Africa that has not been built? That's what I'm saying. Is that like I said, if over here,
You missing it. America gonna be fine. We not worried about America. We
I
talking
would
about
No,
say
I'm
Africa.
I
talking
would say
about.
a
I'm not
black
talking
private
about
equity
for.
company.
I'm talking about for the
To that
benefit
last
of.
question she asked, I would say a black private equity company is something we could build that
Uh,
hasn't really been utilized.
there's several black equity companies. What are you talking about? What?
I can go. I got something that, but y'all probably can't write
Level
it
of like
down.
a BlackRock or an
Vanguard.
Aegis
It doesn't
Capital,
have to
like
be on that level of BlackRock. I'm just saying there are black equity companies.
right. But that's what I meant when I was saying, something that hasn't been done. I'm saying something to
I
scale that's being
You're
done on a larger
listen when
level
you're
with
talking about
I
BlackRock.
know what has
when
not
you're
been
talking about
done.
Well, that's
BlackRock,
one thing.
when you
That's one. That's one. It's a lot.
well,
A
when
black
you talk
a black
BlackRock,
cruise line, and that go from the Americas to Africa, a
Like,
straight cruise line. That is not done, and that shit would generate fucking billions of dollars. There's not one. There's not one cruise line that go from to the Caribbeans to South America straight over to Africa. None, not one.
Yeah, I thought it was.
That would create a whole new trade route.
Isn't there also like a triangle where like people get like
Nah, man, that shit to scare your ass from not doing that shit.
you talking about the Bermuda Triangle?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be
They
jumping
be
on
saying,
those.
they be saying folks be getting lost over there, man. They be getting
Nah, you would cruise right past the Bermuda Triangle. It's a current that flow through there. That you can go right past that shit. You can buy
Why do you
past
think
that
they
shit.
haven't? Come on, see, it ain't nothing new under the sun. I'm sure that they. Why haven't they done that already?
and that's what I've been asking about the
Crazy
whole
when we say
conversation.
that though. TikTok is new.
Because
The internet
because
was
of
new.
how much accessibility it would give people to the West. That's why they ain't did it.
I think it's because the Caribbean is already kind of owned by certain like American, stuff, and that's why the cruise lines are able to stop at certain cruise places in Caribbean.
Yeah,
So
some of them borders be tripping, and you still got pirates.
yeah, I'm not jumping on no goddamn boat and getting fucked up by have somebody jump on that boat and rob everybody. Police on a cruise.
One of them countries you ain't got no business being in. You got to have peace treaties all the way through for that whole route.
Anybody know what a Dow
You got to
is?
have the water.
Can I take
DAO.
a
Anyone
moment?
know
I
what a
had that
Dow
whole
is?
fully loaded. Put some weapons on that bitch.
But see, the only thing that you can do in America is disrupt with technology, because the only thing you're going to do is take an existing technology and probably change and tweak it a little bit, and then come out with your own thing. In Africa, you don't have to disrupt. You're going to be the first to do this, the first to do that. It's like I believe that there's a better option.
Yo, Laurel, I think you should look that up. Yo, a Dow. DAO. And once you look it up, you'll kind of see where I'm going with that, even in terms of your idea.
Is anybody here familiar with the politics in the areas of Africa that y'all are referring to in their and how they are impacting the people's abilities? I'm sorry, you can't hear me.
Laurel got all this background going on, like he moving furniture.
Laurel in his background, always a problem.
I don't know what he be doing. What he be doing? Are you on a construction site? Are you at a construction site?
Maybe that brother worked at
He worked at the auto plant or something. It be sounding real crazy. Like, what the hell is he doing?
I work at a factory / plant too.
Oh,
okay.
I don't think he at work, but he might be. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sounds
Okay. Well, I was
ridiculous.
curious if anybody is familiar with the politics that go on in the particular areas that have been mentioned, and how those politics impact the people's ability to be able to develop the way that y'all are talking about. Because I just can't get past the fact that it hasn't and isn't being done already. And so there has to be something stifling that. And so, to the point of the whole conversation, since I've been here, I would just think that because our politics here in America have been situated to where there's a system in place that is designed to bring forth to produce certain results, and the only problem.
Amira, you could just say the opposition. You're talking about the opposition. She's saying we're going to face opposition trying to set that up.
That's
You don't have to say all that just to say that, Amira.
no,
Like a lot of
no.
what's stopping
First of
us
all,
is
don't be trying to
analysis
jump in and guess what
paralysis.
I'm
Has
saying,
anybody
because
ever
that's
heard the
not
term
really the
analysis
simplicity of what I was
paralysis?
saying.
Can I get
Hold
2
up.
seconds to
That
speak?
no,
No,
because that
hold on.
wasn't
Let
Can
Amira
that,
talk.
I can't get 2
no,
seconds to
Let
speak.
him,
no. The
let
reason why
Amira
is
finish.
because I was into I was saying, I'm assuming because somebody felt like I was taking too long to say something that they thought was simple, but that was not the simplicity of what I was asking.
Oh, you did? Or several of us did. But go ahead,
Well,
Amira.
you know what? Have at it. Do y'all thing.
No, go ahead. You good.
The question, right? And I'll be brief. I
Do
don't think
y'all
it's
thing. Because that
necessarily
was
the
disrespectful
system.
and rude as shit.
Right. And this is what stops us. Nigga shit.
right?
Oh, who do you think was
It's
doing
how
the
we.
nigga
Go
shit?
ahead.
The
I'll let you
person that
cut me
was
off
being
again.
rude and disrespectful, or the person who was talking respectfully to the group?
Was you done?
I was
If
not
you're
finished,
not
and I was
finished, go
not
ahead and
done.
finish and allow
Y'all
me to
decided
speak.
that yourself.
I'll wait. Are you finished now?
Sure.
You were saying, Amira.
Well, may I speak while she's gathering her thoughts?
Okay, go ahead. I don't think that she wants to continue what she's
Right.
saying.
Like at this point, it's not the opposition that's stopping us. I don't believe that. I personally believe it's nigga shit. Like we see that happens on these calls. But more importantly than that, I think one of the biggest issues is the what's it called? Analysis paralysis, right? We think about everything that needs to be done and we keep questioning things and we never jump right out there and do it. Meanwhile, you have Indian kids in high school creating employment agencies in high school. So I think the analysis paralysis is one of our big Achilles heels, and I yield. See how quick that was?
And I agree. I agree. I think that that instead of like us like to say, you know what, maybe we should like go just take a trip over there and see what's up. You know, why don't we go to Kenya and go to their tech hub and see what they got going on? Why don't we go to Tanzania and see how these expat communities are building up land out there? Because you know, and I've done the research. Okay, in Kenya, 'cause she asked the question. She asked, so what does it take to actually build up out in these places, right? So Tanzania, for instance, you don't necessarily get to own the land unless you marry into the you marry a person, then you can probably have. But you know, the land is only meant for the Tanzanians. However, if you have $500,000 funds, and then there's like other different things that you do. You can get a land grant to actually develop on the land there, and then you get a 99-year time frame to be able to run that land, and then you'll be able to, you know, there's other paperwork, whatever. But so the initial investment to get a certain slab of land is like $500,000. Now, in other countries, they're saying that they're willing to actually give a certain amount of land. I haven't looked into that as much. I've looked into like Tanzania mainly.
Ghana.
Ghana, I've heard that Ghana said they will
Yep.
give you land. So I think that like just having land alone is a big deal because you can
Now,
farm on land, you can do a lot of different things on land.
now, sis, and I wanted to ask you a question. I didn't mean to cut your build. I definitely wasn't cutting you off. At some point, like, when do we address the elephant in the room? And the elephant in the room for me is the political instability, right? Like, when the question was asked, should we be, you know, or choose America because of the stability, because of the security of my money and my investment? Like, a lot of political changes happen in Africa, and all that money or the system is wiped out and changed, and people lose everything. Like, there are stories of blacks who have gone back and invested and kind of took an L in different situations. I'm not saying that's going to be the predominant
Okay,
thing,
so
but
let me ask you a question. What are the two largest things that you could do in America to generate wealth and become a wealthy person? What are the two things you can invest in?
invest in,
Yeah.
I would say private equity companies, right? Like, I think one of the best things that if I could, you know, be the captain of the ship, I would start building private equity companies that fund these dreams or these ideas that we have. And again, back to the analysis paralysis of it, it's like at a certain point, it has to become, yo, let's just do it. Let's stop talking about
Okay.
why it may fail.
So the actual answer is okay. The two of the most proven paths are the stock market and real estate. Now, okay,
Yeah, I get
real
what you're saying.
estate, housing, and real estate goes up and down. Okay, so I buy a house right now at $270,000. Tomorrow it could be worth 100. And so that means I have just paid 200. I'm in debt $200,000 for a house that's now worth 100,000. I could put my money into the stock market, and lose it all. Right, you lose the whole thing. So here's the thing: why are we're afraid to say, "Well, I go to Africa and things would get like messed up, and they could get into a war, and now I lost my investment." Well, what do you think happens with? I mean, that's just the risk you take in any person that investment. That's like I mean, it's all a gamble. Anyone that does anything that is an entrepreneur knows that entrepreneurship or any ownership that you try to own is a gamble. You can lose everything. So that's just part of like the game. I think that we get you say analysis paralysis. Okay, so we are not understanding how investment works. Like if you invest in anything, you can lose everything. Most businesses that you start go tank. I mean, I think I don't know what the number is. I think like 70% of businesses like tank in the first year or something like that. So, and how much money do people put into these entrepreneur ventures? They buy a food truck. It doesn't. They don't make no money. So there's so many things. So you could lose money in America starting a business just like you could lose money anywhere else. What I'm saying is that we have invested so much time and effort into building America's infrastructure, and now that they've gotten to where they want to be, they're cutting us out. They're like, you know what? No DEI hire, no whatever. So I'm saying we need to take our investment and go elsewhere with it. We need to like see what we could do in other markets. Why are we only focused on the American market when they don't want us? Clearly,
So I do get your point, but for me, it's not a choice between building up America's infrastructure and building up Africa's. It's a choice on investing in Black American infrastructure, right, and investing in Africa. And I think it would be more beneficial for us here to focus on building what we have here and increasing that, while at the same time, Africa should be focused on things like political and actually, you know, kind of bidding right for our support. Right, they do have a certain responsibility to create an environment that we want to invest in, that we feel comfortable investing in. And as much as I love the continent, I don't see that economic environment there.
growing faster than America. So I don't know their economy, they're economically, but and they and right now we're kind of like at like a that's like a standstill while Africa is beginning to grow because of like the infrastructure changes and things that are happening in Africa is making them become a way more. You know, you have like different countries that are going into there and developing their infrastructure. So I don't. I think it's crazy for us to like just be stuck on America right now. You know. And we're saying that we want to just only focus on the black businesses. Okay, well, where are the black businesses at that we can invest in? Why isn't there? Why don't we have a database of all the black businesses and then come together as a group and do all this other stuff? Why? Because everybody wants to be an individual
I agree with that as well.
together. You know, take ourselves out of like this, out of our comfort zone. You know, because it's easy to have this conversation right here on Facebook and then go back and then start living your. But if you were to say, you know what, I'm going to pack up and go over there and work with the community over there and see what happens, you're forcing yourself out of a comfort zone that you normally would just stay in that same like radius of like that everyday life that you deal with every day.
But I don't know. So one of the things that, because I understand the point you're making, I do. But what I'm saying is like even something like everyone working remotely after COVID, right? That creates opportunities, right? Now we have Black people who are looking for opportunities to move outside of the beaten path, right? Because they don't have to go into an office every day. So now you can buy land a bit cheaper and you can buy it collectively, right? These are opportunities right here in America that we could be capitalizing on. But if we don't have a laser sharp focus, we're all over the place thinking about a whole bunch of things instead of the tangible things that are right in front of us. And one of the things I look at in terms of investment is going to be my pool of resources. Where am I looking to get this money from? Who are my potential investors? You know what I mean? And so that's why with an idea like that, in terms of building land and actually really putting the groundwork down to establish some solid Black communities, I think it's a prime opportunity for us to be doing that. But it's not gonna be encompassing of everyone, and that's just a hard reality. You get what I'm saying?
Man, how long have we been over here trying to do this like that? Like we've been over here for how many years? And we're still talking about the same thing. The 60s, the 70s, the 20s, all this is going on. And we're acting like we're talking about something new. I don't know. To me, have you been to Africa before? Have you been to any country in
Yeah, I've been to Accra. I've been to Ghana.
Africa? All right. So did you notice that there were any business like opportunities there, or did you just go as a visitor?
I went there for, as a visit, but I noticed business opportunities everywhere I go. That's just, basic economics. There's always going to be some way to generate revenue, even in the shittiest, poorest towns, right? It's all about how you execute on it. So for me, right, it's
Did
more of
you
a
see? Oh,
lofty
here's
idea.
here's a better question. Here's a better question. When you were in Ghana, did you see a deficit that could have definitely been filled? That you said, you know what, if they had this, man, it would be even better. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
At any point that you see is happening over here, but over there it's not happening. Did you see anything over there? Did you say, damn, if we could
well,
just do
yes, I did, but the easy thing to go to is the deficits right here in the Black community and the examples how these things could be successful. I think with cities and towns in America, right, one of the major deficiencies is transportation, right? There's not public transportation in a lot of areas. Now, when I look at the dollar van system, right, in New York City, I see them and make Black people a lot of money right here in America. This is something we could do right now that would instantly turn into revenue overnight.
so.
You get what I'm
What
saying?
I'm gathering, what it sounds like to me is it takes a certain type of a mindset to go over to Africa and to think like outside of the box because you're bringing it back to the dollar like the dollar van like no one else ever thought that they could do a dollar van system in New York, right? Like
It's not being done. And we do have a workable model being used right in our neighborhoods right now that we could export to Jackson, Mississippi. We could export it to Savannah and we could turn over a profit quick. But I do think that lack of networking and us working together prevents us from, accomplishing the simple goals. Like,
so again, it sounds like you're into analysis paralysis. You instead of you just saying I'm gonna just get a couple. And here's the thing: is that like there are companies like Toro and all these different like rental car plate things. We have an infrastructure for everything that you're talking about in America. Everything that you're speaking of, anything that you could think of in America has been thought of and has been executed or tried to be executed, maybe tried, failed, and some successful. And I can guarantee you that for what you're talking about, if you did a research, you'll find a company that is probably either doing it, if you look it up, because I can guarantee you there's pretty much in America, when it comes to ideas, um, whether it be a black person, a white, Chinese, whatever, people have come up with the ideas and there is a case study for it. I don't see the same thing in Africa.
what I'm saying is the difference is yes, there are ideas in America that are being, taken advantage of. But what would be different is it being a Black company on those things. That would be something new under the sun. And I'm confused as to, all right, so what about going to Africa changes that? Like, what idea would you have for the
The
continent that's
cost
new
that
under the sun?
the cost that it would take to do the same thing in Africa would be cut in probably a quarter the amount of money.
Understanding conversion rates and all of that.
Right. So,
I wouldn't. Wouldn't
just to
disagree.
you to play here in America, you have to be like a millionaire at best, or at least have $1 million person in your pocket or other people's money to be able to even play on the playing field here. Versus in Africa, like you got $100,000, that goes way more further. You're a millionaire there. So why would you put all your eggs in a basket where you're going to be the small fish versus to go over there and be a big fish? Take that
One,
same
because
idea over in Africa, and now you're somebody over there. Over here, you're going to be competing against just the taxi cab company, or Uber, or Uber, or Door Lyft, or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, there's probably smaller towns you could probably execute the thing in, but if they're used to using uncle or mom and pop, I just think that we're just so like stuck in our ways. Like, I- you know, we're stuck in our ways. And then I think that we also are. I know it's not going to be the YNs that go over to Africa and try to create. Hell, they might. Maybe they might be the open-minded ones to do it. Maybe it's this generation that's older that's
nah,
so stuck in America that we want to just stay here because we don't want to have to do any
sis, they
hard labor.
FBA. They less go back to Africa than I am. They're FBA. The YNs ain't going back. That whole Pan African mindset is literally dying in front of us. You know what I mean? So I don't look to the YNs to want to go back to
No,
Africa more
I'm
than
just
I
thinking
did.
that, right. So I'm just saying, like, the most of the time I'm hearing is that we're going to be bringing our same American stuff over there. It's like, well, no, I think that the type of people that would actually think about going to Africa and doing business is a certain type of person. It's not going to be your average guy, you know, from the hood trying to do that. There's some people that probably would, but for the most part, I think that you're going to have a certain educational level and a certain thing that they know that they can bring to the table when it comes down to it, a business-minded person. I don't know anyone that's not of a business mind that would even think about going to Africa and open up a business, because you have to have a certain level of business acumen to even think that way. Unless it's like getting some plant whatever drugs they got over there and bringing it over at a cheaper rate or something. Not to sound like whatever, but if they got some marijuana plants over there in Africa, that's a different strain. That might be a thing. If we can get over here, whatever. But there's like so many other opportunities. Even that marijuana is becoming more popular in America. We don't know what strains are being grown over in Africa that don't exist in America. I think that there's just a lot of opportunities that we're not even thinking about because we want to just, well, we could just do the same thing here. I think it's a lazy mindset. It- you know,
I understand that belief. I'm just saying, thinking about going back and doing business in Africa, that's an extremely risky mindset. And if you go back and listen to the people who have done these things, you get what I'm saying? Many of them have changed their mind and come back to America to just do businesses here. You're talking about people that had the basic business acumen to go overseas and do business internationally. They're like, yeah, I'm better off just coming doing it here. Because one, politically, in terms of laws and bylaws wise, my money's safer in America, right? Everybody's not trying to extort me and put different tax. No, we got a basic tax code. I know what I'm gonna have to pay. I get a CPA, and at least I know that's not gonna change overnight. You get what I'm saying? And then on top of that, it's the risk of the political instability. Things could change on how because they're not as welcoming to us after the internet, right? They've heard a lot of niggas run their mouth. They listen to Tariq Nasheed too. They listen to the Hebrew Israelites too. You get what I'm saying? So they're not as welcoming as they were in the 80s. I want to be clear about that. I've had conversations about that. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, if I'm keeping it ultra simple, why would I go somewhere where everyone is running from because of lack of economic opportunity? Right? That's my sales base. Something's going on that the people that I would need to sell to, they like, I'm getting the hell out of here. And then they're coming here. And then they're becoming successful here while we're looking at their country, talking about let's go back there. It's just a little, if we
yeah,
had
that's I don't know. That's a that argument is weird because how many people are in Africa?
Billions.
Okay, so are a billion people coming over to America, or is it just a small
Oh, 8
few of
billion
people
probably.
that are kind of rich and well-to-do that were probably like taught in Europe? You know, their family had enough money to like educate them in different like systems in Europe that came over here. It's a certain type of African that comes over to America. It's not just like your average person that's living in Africa.
Uh, I get your argument, and I wouldn't totally disagree, but nah, it's not just colonial, uh, educated children and whatnot. Like, I do agree that more
Most
often
of the
than
Africans that
likely,
come over
I do
here,
agree with you that more often than not, they're gonna come from the higher levels of their society that are able to get the hell out of there, right? But I'm saying them the niggas I'm trying to sell to. If they leaving, right? What? Because the unspoken kind of truth in what you're saying is the niggas under them want to leave 10 times more. They just don't have the opportunity to. It's the upper echelon, it's the more wealthy, it's those that are kind of already infused in the capitalistic system that they can get up out of there. But don't act like the people that stay and just want to beat it. They don't like them flies in their eyes either. I'm joking. That was a joke. But I'm saying.
okay, so it said 2.1 million people came to Africa, and the majority of them have bachelor's degrees or higher.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I would agree
so
with that.
right, so that is the group that's coming over here. It's not like your regular people that's living in Africa.
Again, the upper echelon of their society, who many of them don't go get Western education. They're educated right on the continent. But when it's time to go to university, as my people would say, you get what I'm saying? They come here for those opportunities. Yes, I agree with you, the upper echelon of their society. What I'm saying is the lower at the other 75%, they can't even get in an educational system there, right? I'm just saying those people aren't staying just because they want to. That's kind of a fallacy.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
saying
believe
those
that.
that are leaving have the opportunity to leave.
Okay,
That's the
all
main
right.
thing that separates
So do you realize
and I'm not
that
saying
one,
they all want to leave.
two,
I'll land there. But
or
I'm not saying they all
how many countries are in Africa?
51, I think.
Okay, so there's only
52.
five major countries that people are leaving their country and coming to America. That's Nigeria,
Nigeria,
Ethiopia,
Senegal,
Egypt, Ghana, and Kenya.
Ethiopia as well. Yep.
Yeah, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Egypt, Ghana, and Kenya. Those are like the significant portion of those 2 million people that are African born that are coming to America. So 5 out of 51 people are trying to leave Africa and come to America. And now you're trying to tell me that all 51 of those countries are staying in Africa because they just are so broke and they just can't come living in their country that they're in.
What I'm telling you is this, right? 5 countries have relationships with America that those people can even get through the door. There are many African countries where coming here isn't even an option. So to pretend like they all just want to stay there and they're good is the fallacy I'm saying. And again, I'm not saying they all want to leave. There's places where they're perfectly fine. Like Kenya is a very proud country. Senegal is a very proud country. It's the next African country I want to visit is Senegal, right? But let's be clear, right? The argument, I'm just, going back and forth with the argument that all these people are still invested in their continent. They're happy. They see chances of success for them and their families. Nah, B. I'm saying that 5, right? The other, what is it, 46? 16 of them probably can't even come to America. So
Well,
now they
what I'm
fleeing, they switching passports, and they trying to go through London to get to them. Like it's crazy. And that's what I'm talking about in terms of the instability. Like when all these things are a factor, like they still have wars going on there, right?
so
Like literal war.
how many Tanzanians leave Tanzania and come to America?
I have no idea.
Right. So it says 75% of Africans that coming from, all right, from pretty much that same area, that same West African area. And I think that part of it is also because of, like, there are like some political upheavals that are going on in those particular areas.
Correct.
But where we can't make it like Africa, like the whole of Africa is in a political upheaval.
Yeah, nah, that's never my argument. So I agree with you 100%
You
there.
don't see people. How
And
many South Africans are trying to leave South Africa?
I'll double down, right? Even in a place like Burkina Faso, where there is political upheaval, there is still like a semblance of a very normal life, a very happy life that the world doesn't really know. So when they hear about Burkina Faso, they think it looks like Palestine right now. Nah, that's not the case. Like it's some areas that's kind of popping. They got clubs on a Friday night. It's kind of crazy out there.
We're
You
having
know what I mean?
saying, listen, I've been to Johannesburg where they were trying to make it seem like it was just the most worst
I
place in
do
the
want to
world.
go to Joburg.
I've been to Cape Town. They were trying to make it seem like that was an awful place. And honey, Cape Town looks like South Beach, Miami on steroids.
Mhm.
Okay, it'll make South Beach look like it ain't doing nothing.
All right, now you wild. Now
Man,
you
you need
wild.
to shit. Tell you something. You listen. They drinks be having like real vegetables and fruits in them, and it's beautiful. I'm like, and then the scenery, you can see like Antarctica off in the distance. It's beautiful,
Yeah.
gorgeous. So, like, I don't know. I think that we have a very skewed view of Africa and what's really going on there. Um, Everyone's not in
I,
mud huts, but they're struggling and like, oh, I just can't. I just want to leave this mud hut. And I
I'll
want to
be
just be in
transparent, right? I'll be transparent. I was raised Pan African. Now, in my big old age, I have a different view than my parents had only because of the vantage point of me now being able to look back. And I guess I could sum it all up by saying the benefited the kids of Johannesburg way more than it benefited the kids of Baltimore, Maryland. Just to kind of sum it all up in just a small microcosm of where my mindset starts, right? So now when we're talking about investing back in the continent, I'm not against that, but it's got to be worth ag for me and my people, right? Or offer me some type of autonomy where I got my own space and my own this, that, and the third. But if you think you're coming into Africa, right, and getting this reservation that the Native Americans and nah, it's not going to be that. Liberian history told me that. You know what I mean? And I would argue that for the same amount of time, because you were making one point earlier and I forgot what it was, but I was saying us going back to Africa goes back that far, and how far has that got? You were saying about how if doing this in America all this time and we can't get nowhere. My point is, we went back to Liberia. What was that? The 50s, 1850s? Was it 1850s? I can't really remember. Or maybe 1821. I can't remember. But yeah, we went back to Liberia a long time ago. So we have issues on both sides, in my opinion. Both sides just need to focus on building up their side, and then later on we meet in the middle. Pause. You know what I mean?
So you're saying that we should we shouldn't even think about going to other countries and think about investing globally, because and I think that Africa is the fastest growing market versus like going to South America or any other Asia or any other
I
country.
got you.
Now everybody's going over there, right? All
No.
these white countries are going over there, and versus us trying to get a part, become a part of that growth. We just need to just focus on America and start like smaller companies here, companies here, and only invest in the community over here. Meanwhile, like there's an entire boom happening in different countries in Africa that we could be a part of. That's going to be cheaper for us to actually invest in. There, of course, is some risk. There is a risk. However, with any investment, there's a risk. I mean,
But don't move too far from the question, because it was a good question.
And the question is that okay, because all right, I can give you an example of people who've gotten land in America, and then the moment they get their land and they try to set things up, they get hit by all kind of permits and this, that, the other, and blah 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 blah, and they get basically shook out. What's the word?
Railroad.
Railroad. Yeah, they shake them out, right? So
Gotcha.
they do all this and build it up, and then the white people come along, they see
But
what's going
wait,
on.
the initial question was more or less, am I saying it makes more sense to just stay here rather than go abroad and invest in other things outside of just focusing on American communities?
Yes,
Absolutely not. But what I'm saying to you is, right now, if I'm considering going abroad, right, that doesn't, for me, who again, my primary focus is my people here in America. If I want to get that new growth money, that burgeoning economy money, I'm going to Delhi. I'm going to put my money. I'm going to buy 12 Indians for $70 that will work 25-hour shifts, right? And redo all of my coding for medical billing and my assets recoverable and take my
right.
profit of
And that's
right.
under the assumption. I mean, as a software engineer, I can tell you why that's a bad investment. Um, so you would say that you would trust a Indian developer more than you would trust a Kenyan
I
developer?
don't trust none of them niggas. I'm saying that base isn't in Africa right now. If it was,
That's not true.
markets would be exploiting it right now.
That's not true. That is not true. You need to do some more.
Well,
Now
you
there's
have
more
to teach me more.
developers. There's way more. There is way more developers in India because India has set itself up because like all the major corporations,
So
after they started to like do that outsourcing thing,
so
they
don't
started
tell me I'm
owning.
wrong then agree with me. You get my point. You understood what
But
I was
no,
saying.
is that the only
It's,
thing about when
you breaking up, sis.
I'm sorry, my okay. When you work with Indian developers, there's a certain if you do the research, you'll find out that it is not what you. It's not what that's not. Sometimes that's not what's up.
No, I ain't saying it's a walk in the park. Like I know everybody's trying to rob me. Shit, my next door neighbor tried to rob me. Like so, I don't expect
I'm
it.
saying that when
I
it
don't.
really
I
comes
don't
down to
expect any magic pills to make things better just because
you'll
I
be
go
better getting a
somewhere else.
developer. So the develop. So I
But
believe that the African developers are way more advanced than the Indian ones because the Indians are all they're going to do is exactly what you tell them to do. They're not going to think outside the box. They're not going to try to do anything extra. They're going to do exactly what you say. And if you
now
don't,
let's
they're
stop
like,
right
yeah,
there. Let's build on that. Right? How many African car companies are there?
I don't know.
There-
Let me look online. I
There's
can't tell.
one.
I know like one
There's
main
one.
one, but hold on. No, I think it's more than that.
Now I'm saying, however many you could think of, right? Tata Motors encompasses their wealth times 10, right? What I'm saying is when you look at companies like Baidu was like what the Indian eBay or some shit like that. Like that shit
So
exploded. You get what I'm saying? I'm saying
there's seven prominent companies. The seven prominent African car companies. How
and look,
many how many American car companies are there? About seven major ones.
yeah, but all right, if we're gonna play that game, I'm talking market cap, right? How much of the market are they actually able to capitalize on? What's their scale? What can they reach and what can they touch? So my point
Hold on,
was
hold on. Here's a
when you
question:
asked me the
How
original
many how
question
many Black
was
American car
hold
companies
on.
are there?
But when you asked me the original question, my point was no, I'm not stuck in America saying let's just invest in America and no place else in the world. What I'm saying is I prioritize my Black American people in our communities. So if I am going to go outside of America for investment, unfortunately, Africa ain't where I'm going. I'm probably going to India or China. That's what
Okay, yeah,
me.
that's crazy.
It's
That's
just
crazy.
me.
So that's
Yeah, 'cause
crazy.
I'm trying to get to the bag for my people. I'm
Yeah.
trying to bring resources home. Like, you know what's my
Well, the
dream,
only
sis?
difference between China
Look,
and
sis,
India is
you
there is that it's Asians doing the work versus Africans. I would say I
Sis,
would rather go to Africa and get my
you
labor.
know what's my dream, sis, right? My dream is to open a MAGA burgers, right? I want to open MAGA burgers, right? Like have my nigga Tone as the vice president. Now I mean my man Bondo as the official spokesperson of the company, right? I'm selling Patriot burgers and freedom fries and all that to
But hold
white
on,
folk.
before
I'm
we
not hold up to white folk, right? The same way they come in our community and sell us everything and they complain about it and we complain about it, I want to go siphon off some of that money. I want rednecks buying Patriot burgers and being proud. The Charlie Kirk milkshake, if you come on Wednesdays, it's half off if it's the Lord Day. And because we
honey, what's
Christian
stopping you from doing
nationalists,
that? Yeah, yeah. Let me tell you how to do that. You get a DoorDash account. You open up a what you call kitchen.
I'm
A lot
not,
of times you can do that. Hold on, no. Listen, like you can you do it out of your house and set up a DoorDash account. You can do that from your home. But I'm saying no. You went into about cars, right? You said how many African car companies are there, right? And I told you seven, right?
and what's their
So
market
then
cap?
it doesn't matter the market cap because let me tell you why.
No,
Of all the companies that are building cars in America, who is building the cars?
I don't
It
know,
was niggas in Detroit was building the cars and
but
Ford.
what I'm saying is the most important
No,
part.
I get what you're saying. The bottom line is that we create the market cap because we're the ones that's building the cars. So why would we build up Ford, we
Building the
build up
cars doesn't create the market
Chrysler, we
cap.
build hold on, we build up Chrysler, we build up Ford, we built up Cadillac, Lincoln. Well, Lincoln is Ford. All these companies that in Detroit building all these cars, and now Ford is a major corporation. General Motors, major corporation, right? So we were the ones that were building all these cars, right? From whenever they like ended slavery, niggas left slavery, went up to fucking Detroit and Chicago, and they were building up cars and working in all these factories that are now like fucking obsolete and the steel mills and all this other stuff. So they basically got everything and sucked us dry. Then the market crashed, and now they just sent all their labor over to China. You're gonna tell me that you'd rather put your money into China and India, but we were the ones that were building up these companies in America, and then their companies go over there. But when China,
Now let's unpack
hold on,
that.
when China comes over to America with Hyundai, they bring over all their Koreans, and the Koreans are building the cars. There's
All
no,
right,
they might
let's
hire
come
a
back to
few,
that. Hold on.
one or
So
two niggas.
let's
So
unpack
why
that.
are we need to go over to Ghana, and all of our people that's working over here that worked on Ford need to go to Ghana and help Kentaka. We need to help Wally Car. We need to help Birkin Cars, Mobius
But
Cars,
wait,
and Kent
sis,
Laraki. We
hold
need to
on.
go over there and help them with their cars the same way that in Asia we need to start developing or work an American car because there's plenty of African Americans that know how to build a goddamn car. Last I checked, when we built one for Ford. Why in the hell ain't we built the car
All
yet?
right. So what ends up happening, right? And I've learned to humble myself and not cut people off, right? But what happens is you put so much in the box, right? That now it's out of range of what you said before that could be addressed directly, right? So when we're talking about these companies, you said market cap doesn't matter. That was my first trigger. Market cap is all that matters. And market cap is not determined by the people that make these vehicles. Market cap is determined by the people that buy these vehicles. What these companies are basing their revenue off of, that's the most important number. So you can have 50 companies, right? And they can have a $2 market cap, and you can have 5 companies and they can have $1 trillion market cap. Which companies do you think will be remembered in time, right? But it was even more than that. Hold on, because you went a long time, right? So again, you said a lot of stuff, but my point doesn't change. My focus is my people here in America. So if I am going to look outside of America to build anything up, right? What I have to also factor in is how it benefits me. I'm tired of getting nothing out the deal. You understand what I'm saying? I'm tired of getting Nelson Mandela free and Assata got to die outside of America. Now I'm simply focused on me, right? So if I am looking to invest outside of America, which absolutely I am because we live in a global economy, right? I'm going where the money is. And so now you can mention all the companies in the world, but I get very direct. I don't even play the silly games of saying, do you know this? But so I'm gonna tell you my question, if I was gonna ask the goofy question would be, do you know the market cap of Baidu? Right now, clearly, I didn't even know the motherfucking market cap. So every time somebody does that shit, do you know the market cap of Baidu? Like that shit is goofy shit to me. But the answer to the question is the market cap of Baidu is $45 billion, right? My question to you is this. If all these African software developers and car companies and this and that, where is one company incrementally halfway? I'm not even asking for close because I know there's no close. Find me one halfway where their market cap is $45 billion, one Indian company. Because see, when I'm making my points, I can provide the example of what I'm talking about. If you ask me why I'm gonna put my money in India, it's because I've seen what Baidu did. Baidu went public. I want to say I was still doing brokerage back then, so I think they've been public like at least 15 years or some shit like that. But explosion, like from I think probably 2 billion from IPO. I don't remember the specific number, but I know it was nowhere near 45. That shit crazy. I mean,
Like, see, if we were to take the knowledge and level of that whole thing that the Detroit automakers did
stay
and brought
there.
that into Africa for the African companies, and take the designers
Real
that,
quick, I'm
because
gonna keep it short, sis.
I
Stay
know
there, because
several
that's something
people.
you said
I can
earlier
tell you
too,
three
right?
car
You brought
designers
up
that I
the
know
car
that
companies and
I'm
why
in Detroit.
would we still invest in the system here in America? Here's the reality, right? When those jobs did move, right? Detroit went from being Motown, a city that benefited black people, to being a fucking shithole. Like, it's a dude that I disagree with 99.9% of the time because he kind of be cooning. But he makes one statement that I always agree with. So goes the cracker, goes the Negro in America, right? So sometimes trying to break this system and fight against it, we do ourselves a disservice. And I'm not trying to cut my nose off to spite my face. That doesn't mean I'm not trying to do great things. That doesn't mean I'm not trying to do things outside the system. But I have to be calculated in what I do, why I do it, and what results I'm looking from what I'm doing. So for me, when I factor all that in, yeah, Africa's cool. I'm actually super down. Give me something. Give me something I believe in. I'm all in. I'm all in. But all I get is dreams. What could be. Nobody puts a Baidu on the table in front of me saying, huh, put your money in that. Bang. Y'all want me to leave here and start something from the ground over there in a place I don't even know. The reality of the global economy is I could do that shit from right here in America.
Okay, but how much is it going to cost you?
A
Is
bit
it going to
more.
cost you the same amount of money than it would in Africa?
But when you make that argument, you're literally making the Ford Motor Company argument. Why pay these black folk 70,000 $70,000 a year in 1995, right? Why pay them that when I could send these jobs to Mexico and pay these niggas a quarter in a bag of tortillas, right? These niggas in America want you.
Why are we
The
pretending like
audacity of
there's
them.
not people in Africa that are skilled laborers? Well, why are we thinking that when we go to Africa and we say, "Hey, I want to build a car, I want to build a house, or I want to build I want to do a website," that there's not people in Africa that know
No,
how to
what
do this?
I'm saying is when you say we can do it cheaper over there, you're planning on paying them people cheaper. Stop fronting.
Well,
You're not trying to pay
that's
them.
according to the dollar amount. Yeah, that's
I
yes.
think.
Well,
I
that's
think.
business. That's international. People, uh, if you were to go to fucking India and China, would you be paying them at
Hell
the
no.
American rate?
But I stand
What are
on
you
it.
what are
I'm
you
not
talking
claiming that
about?
I'm trying to go over there and
I'd
build up
rather
people.
$2 in the African hands and put it over in
I'm
the
saying
Indian, and then
I'm not pretending like I'm trying to. I am looking to exploit, take by any means, be our watch
honey,
list.
you can't call India and China or any of these Asian countries. They've already been colonized. But here's the thing, same. But the thing about Africa
Back
is
to
to have
Africa.
their
So you
own
made the comment
ways
that
of doing
I
it.
can't
So
colonize India or nowhere else because they've already been colonized. Would you agree that in Africa right now, there's a shift in the current colonizer? There's a new colonizer. His name is Vladimir Putin. Would you agree with that?
in certain parts of Africa, yeah.
Yeah. So you can
And,
take that
but
land, right?
no, but here's the thing: is that why are see? This is the problem with Americans is that African Americans is that we have not developed a nation enough to think past go.
We'll get there.
We don't think like a nation. We think like individuals, and everything that we talk about is from an individualistic basis. And if we thought as a nation, everything I'm saying would not be so foreign because we'd be thinking about what would build our nation up, right? Because we would be thinking about, yeah, we need more land to do stuff with. We need more of this, and I could see where over here it's harder to get land without getting taxed. So we need to go into. But the thing is that these other Chinese business investors they go in with their country behind them,
Yeah. So
or their
my point
no,
with
not their country, their nation behind them. And we don't think nationhood. We don't think like a nation. We think like an individual group of people with their individual thoughts and what you want to build a MAGA burger. You know what I'm saying? And that's like the thing. Now, if you built the MAGA burger, say you made $20 million with that, right? Then are you gonna just get a mansion out in the suburbs of America, or would you say I'm gonna take that 20 million and I'm gonna go to Africa and see what's good, what's up? Like,
personally, if my money was up that much from where I'm at, right? Then absolutely. I
but
got
is
two
it like
to
a
take over. Hold on. I got two to take over there and do something, right? So now when you talk about we don't have a nation, I'm saying I'm thinking on a nationalist basis. I consider myself a black nationalist. So when you talk about going outside of black nationalism, black people right here in America, now you're talking about that individualistic, dispersed people all out through Africa looking for something in the homeland that might not have a place for you. No, what I'm saying is rooted in black nationalism. I'm concerned with us, right? If it does not benefit us, I wish you well. If you can create a situation that does benefit us, I am all in, right? But it is not my job to build up anything outside of me before I'm at a place where I go from making a couple thousand a year to having that 20 million you're talking about. Now, as a people, if we go from having that couple thousand a year to 20 million, then yes, at that point, we can step outside of ourselves and build something else up, create alliances and be able to control those alliances. Yes, absolutely, right?
but
But
doesn't Black
until
America
we
have
hold
a
on, but
trillion
until we
dollar
hold on, and I'm gonna
buying
land.
power?
Hold on, and I'm gonna land. But until we go from that couple thousand a year to that 20 million you speak of, no, I gotta stay right here in America, focus on me and mine. And if it doesn't benefit me in terms of bringing something resources back home, I'm good on that. I got enough opportunity right here, and I yield.
You think that you have opportunity here?
I know we do.
With the current economy the way it is, 300,000 women losing their jobs. People, corporations no longer hiring black people. Who's gonna buy your product? It's like, okay, you're gonna like do it for the white people.
Did you hear what you just said? Corporations are no longer hiring black people. That's what you said. This is the only reason I be trying to stop people, because if we could stop right at what you said, right, we can understand how far along the premise you're trying to build is based off of an actual reality, right? So even if we go back to Detroit, my argument is, you say don't invest in these companies, you say don't build them up, right? I'm not against that. But the one thing I know is, when we allow these companies to be destroyed, send those jobs outside, not even destroyed, but when we don't focus on it benefiting us here, where we are actually investing in it and getting something out of it, yeah, that destroys communities, man. Shout out to my man Murder Payne. But what's going on in Detroit is insane, right? From where it was as Motown. It was damn near Harlem. I mean, no place will ever really be Harlem. But what I'm saying is, right, Motown was a beautiful place, and it got destroyed through that same mindset you have, that we need to take ourselves out of the system. I'm saying
What?
we are already so ingrained in this system.
You're
Let's
saying that
take
Detroit got
advantage. Hold on, hear
destroyed
me
by
out.
the mindset
Let's
of
take
what?
advantage of, hold on, hear me out. Let's take advantage of that, how ingrained we are in the system, before we even think about stepping outside of it, right? Let's get to a place where we're
Oh my
so
God.
secure, right? And profitable here, that now we can really drag our nuts and say, yeah, we going over there. And they'll probably say, wait, before you go, we're gonna offer you more. Nah, we at that time now where I think we could actually do it. We good. You know what I mean? We ain't there yet.
That's great. You know what? Like what? You're saying that Detroit, based on the what mindset is what destroyed Detroit? Because
Based on the fact that what made Motown Motown is because Motown was named after Motor Town. It was black people having a space, being infused in this system that you're saying we took no benefit from, right? What I got from that was the Four Tops, Diana Ross, Smokey Robinson, and everybody else, right? Now, when that system decided to leave us, right, we were left to our own devices in Detroit, and Detroit is now what it is. It's not what it was. So I'm just saying we got to be careful.
Detroit was
That's all I'm saying.
suffering. Hold on. It was called the White Flight. They had a huge riot that happened, and there was a black area that there was people fighting. And it was a whole like the whole city got burnt down. It's called a White Flight that happened. That's what destroyed Detroit.
Come on, sis.
And then later
Detroit
on,
was at its prominence when it was considered a chocolate city, right? When we're talking about Motown, there are Cadillacs everywhere, right?
wait a
There
minute.
was wealth in these black communities, right? There was a time where Detroit, like, could have been everything we dream about when we talk about the Tulsa, Oklahomas, and everything else. There was a point in time. Hold on. What destroyed it wasn't white flight, because the white folk had already fled. They were gone. We built something beautiful where we were, and a major part of it came from being infused into this system. So while I don't like that necessarily, right? While I say rest in peace to the Queen Mother, thank you for your service, I say that to Asada Shakur before I say that to someone in the service, right? But yeah, I have to be honest about where we are. I have to be careful and calculated. So the thing
No.
is, if we start
Okay.
creating that
Do you know when the
mindset,
White Flight happened in Detroit in the 60s?
I can Google it.
Okay.
I told
Okay.
you I
All
don't
right.
ask those
All right.
questions. I
So
don't
hold
know
on. Let
nothing,
me.
but
All
I
right.
Google.
That's cool. So the White Flight, what happened is there was a tax base in Detroit of like Jewish and white people that were actually like owning all the properties and everything in Detroit. What they did was they abandoned all of their properties and then moved to the suburbs, and they took all their tax money and dollars and everything that was actually going into the Detroit economy, and then it went into the suburbs of Detroit. And so all those built houses, even though they were owned by those people, they just left them to dilapidate. So that's
Yeah,
what
you're
caused.
talking about the 50s. And what happened
No,
after
it's
the
the
50s?
'60s.
Well,
The
That was
hold
'60s.
on.
1967, 1968.
Yes.
So
White
So,
flight,
so when so
white.
that
Hold on, hold on, hold
it
on, hold on,
happened after
hold
the
on.
riot.
White flight. But wait. There's context to this conversation. White flight in Detroit began right post World War II. It really was in the 50s that they started to move out and into other suburbs outside of Detroit. That's when it started.
well,
Now,
can
yes,
so
there were,
so
hold on. Now, yes, there were still white people there up
right,
until the 60s. And there was some key moments where, as much as people wouldn't want to give us credit, we pushed them out of that community
right,
even more and we
right,
flourished. My point is, Motown was a thing throughout the 70s. Detroit was a strong, viable community with wealthy black folk, as crazy as that is to say, right? Like black folk that were very comfortable, very successful,
right.
and actually did invest into their community. I'm saying a part of what destroyed that was us not being viable in that job market you're talking about, and that's unfortunate, right? That doesn't mean I'm acquiescing to the cracker. That doesn't mean that I'm saying, oh, I can't save myself without him. I'm saying, I that may be happens. My goal is still to move outside of this shit, right? At the end of the day, as a man, our babies got to eat here in America. So I got to start with them. And this baby's starving in Alabama. This baby's starving in Baltimore. This baby's starving in Jackson, Mississippi. Because on one end, you will say there's portions of Africa that are doing well, right? So if that's the case, then you have to acknowledge there's portions right here that's doing way worse than them. I gotta focus on me and mine.
Yeah. So it was, yeah, it was then from Detroit. Yeah. So the thing is with Detroit, like, because my grandmothers, they worked for rich white Jewish people. You know what I'm saying? So, but from what stories that I've heard, the decline of Detroit started in the 1950s. Although that there were prominent black people, I mean, the black people were very wealthy because you had, of course, Motown. You had Diana Ross and Temptations. Like they all lived in Detroit and they also invested in Detroit. But Detroit really started to go downhill like mid 70s. Um, and it was kind of a variety of things, including drugs. But that happened to most major cities. Have the propensity to be a great city if we just kept investing in our city, and that's a problem. We take our money and we don't invest in ourselves, but we'll take our money and then go invest it somewhere else.
And
So
hold
that's
up,
why I
and
say,
I be forgetting you from Detroit, and don't think I'm judging, because even worse in my hood, right? We sold ours. Like we don't even. Y'all are still at least there, right? Harlem ain't even. So don't think I'm judging.
oh
I'm
no, I'm
looking at it
not.
as
Mid 2000s when they were all saying, they're about to rebuild up Detroit and we're gonna be next in line, And so there's this line everybody get the government contracts, and when they start building it up, be in line and all this other bullshit. In line, right? And so what happened is that when they started building it up, it wasn't the people that was waiting in line. It was all these China investors, white people coming from other countries. They're the ones, because I tried to get some of those, because I have a corporation based out of Detroit right now. So I'm like, all this waiting in line, thinking that no, this new development that's happening in Detroit, because Detroit is on a new upsweep right now. with new developments, new they didn't I don't know what this, different things they're doing, whatever, but that's not being funded by the people that waited to try to get in line. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing is that yes, the auto industries went to the suburbs in different parts of the thing, and then and then all those factories and everything, because they just sold the GM building downtown Renaissance Center.
Right.
They fixed to knock that whole goddamn building down, except for two buildings. So I'm like, what are we talking about here? Like Detroit, man, come on now. Oh,
Sis-
so now we got to put the money back into Detroit, even though Detroit is on some other shit
Si-
too.
Sister Monica, even
All these
though even though we
man,
disagree on some things, I really, really needed this conversation this morning. I appreciate you and I've enjoyed it. And please don't ruin my life. That's all I wanted to say. But thank you, sister. I needed this conversation, even with us disagreeing. I needed that this morning. You did a great work. Please don't ruin my life. And I yield my time
why
to
would I
Big Booty
ruin your
City.
life? I'm just saying, I'm not gonna ruin your
Any
life.
chips?
How would I ruin your life? Like, I'm not a
It,
hacker. I don't.
it's an inside joke, sis. It's an inside joke. I put you on to something
Yeah,
everybody don't get.
what is
Big
the
Booty Sing get it, but nah, I was just saying
Shut up,
I
Kenny.
needed this conversation, sis. I did. Because even though we disagreed, I'm not that far from what you want to do. And I hope I've helped you understand just a bit better of why I'm stuck here and can't get to where you want to be. Because at one time, that was what I wanted to do. Back to Africa, move back and all of that. Maybe it's old age, maybe I don't know. But this was a good
I
conversation
think
and
that's
I needed
exactly
it.
what it is. I think that people, when they think about trying to build something new in a whole nother country, they get exasperated because we're so exhausted about what we've already built here that got destroyed. So we're like, oh shit, trying to start up a new thing somewhere else. Oh my god! But we're forgetting that Africa has one of the largest growing young populations. We're getting older over here. I mean, certain like this country is a older country. Like, we're not having babies.
We're
You
not
know what I'm
having
saying?
kids like we used to.
In
Yeah,
Africa,
I get
it's
your
a
point.
lot of young people over there that are looking for opportunity. So
Get your point.
why are we stuck over here trying to maybe because we're getting too old, we're getting too tired. We're like, I don't feel like I'm about to retire in 10 years. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna like just fucking get it how I live. But I think that that's a mistake for our because I think that
Hey, yo,
like
sis, stay on my 401k. Like, why you judging me? Like, oh, yes,
especially
yes,
with
that's me.
because AI because for our children, think about this. If
Mm.
okay, I'm raising a daughter, two daughters, right? One daughter's into art and into like design and this, that, the other. The other's like into like she's a entertainment, right? Why I'm gonna raise my child in a system that is gonna be replaced 100% by AI once Bill Gates just got access.
Yeah.
All the new nuclear power plants are now owned by Bill Gates and Microsoft. So like they're about to turn this whole thing into a whole technology hub of AI.
Now
So
that's a whole different side of
what
it.
kind of what is the future of our children in this society?
So
I'm like,
now,
I'd
so
rather
now,
go to
hold
a
on, hold
place
on.
that's
Let's
still
put a
trying
pin
to
right
build.
there.
Hold on, I'd rather take my dollars into a place that's still that they haven't had their industrial revolution yet.
Right now, let's put a pin right there, though. What I'm saying is the factors that you just brought up is why they'll never have an industrial revolution. Just like Generation X will never have a
You're
president,
saying that
right? Hold
Africa
on,
will
hear what
not
I'm
have
saying.
an
Hold on, hold
industrial
on, hold on,
revolution?
hold on, hold on, hold on. What I'm saying is where the world is going through AI, right? I have to focus on my children not being left behind. I have to focus on STEM here in America. I have to create engineers that will still create jobs for the babies that I love right here. I love them babies in Africa too, right? But I have no shame in saying I love my babies more. I'm in the AAU with these little niggas. I'm coaching these little niggas, right? I know the world they're going into. I know I went into a world where at one point I worked in a call center. That's no longer a viable job. We used to look down the boardroom and there's 40, 50 niggas, right? Now, think about the last time you dialed the 800 number and got a human being. No, we're going to do all this shit by you listening to what I'm telling you. Press one. if you like your account balance. Press 2 if you like to make payments. Right?
Man,
That hear what I'm
you
saying. Hear what
missing,
I'm saying.
you
Hear
missing
what I'm
me.
saying.
Nah, bro.
Hear what I'm saying. That's a whole job force gone here in America, right? That people my age capitalized off of. That's not going to be offered to my babies. That's scary, right? Think about, I don't know if you go to the one chick that has to work at a grocery store checkout, right? But I go through the swipe shit so I could, you know, steal an avocado or two, right? That's a whole that used to be jobs. Each one of those beep, beep, each one of those was someone who was getting paid when we were young.
Right.
The
So you're
world is
proving
changing.
you're
So I
proving my
have to
point. You're proving my point. So when
I'm saying going to
all of the
Africa ain't
jobs,
building jobs for them babies. It's not.
what? Like, so okay,
Going to
all right.
Africa isn't building jobs for black babies in America. The only thing that will build jobs for Americans, let
Silky,
alone
can you
black
listen?
babies, hold on, is to
I'm
get
gonna read
involved
this.
in STEM. The world is going
Okay.
somewhere
No,
where it
why
wasn't before.
STEM is not even gonna be done by people anymore, bro? What are you talking about? STEM AI is
Man,
what?
STEM, like AI is just a singular part of.
Computers the computers do
So
all
you're
that stuff.
obviously familiar with AI hallucinations, right?
Uh, yeah,
All right,
I know what the language model is. Yes, I
right.
understand the hallucinations. Yes,
So you do
but
agree.
as they build their computing power, when they get access to all this like nuclear power, because the only reason why hallucinations happen is because their computer, the actual servers are not big enough to even like really hold the amount of data and process it the way. But when they start accessing nuclear
Oh,
power to
wait, that's
process
not true. AI hallucinations are created from the actual algorithm at a certain point, regardless of the actual facts of what you're asking it. If you ask it enough, it will provide you what you want to hear. That's an AI hallucination.
well, yeah, AI is what is it called? There's a word for it where it actually gives you exactly what you want and
So
not
that's what.
exactly
So
the
that's what
truth.
I'm
But the
saying.
thing
Like,
is that when
shit like what I'm
when
saying is
so
like shit like cybersecurity, shit like verifying what's AI and what's not. That's the next major market. Who can
yeah,
figure
yeah,
this shit out? I don't know if
cybersecurity.
I'm looking at a real fish or an AI fish. I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. This is what I want to focus on getting me personally, my children,
Okay, so if
because
your kids
that
okay,
if you agree, if you hold on, if you agree that Skynet is happening, what I'm saying is in the last years of humanity, right? It's the engineers that are
honey,
gonna
I'm
have
an
to stop.
engineer right now myself, and I'm struggling finding a job. Here's the thing. Listen, Africa is actively pursuing what could be considered its own industrial revolution, not as a direct imitation of the past, but as a digital and green industrial revolution driven by new technologies and renewable energy to create jobs, strengthen value chains, and overcome commodity dependence. However, the continent faces challenges such as uneven infrastructure, a lack of access to finance, and governance issues that must be addressed for this transformation to be successful. Now, if we've already been through this, why would we think that our intelligence would be able to help like a situation like this? Why would we stay over here and be replaced and be up there like, well, damn, to be able to say, okay, we can like take where we go and go into a situation like this with not just saying go over individually. Like I'm saying, come together as like in these communities because there are already expat communities already over there that are doing what I'm saying. Join those communities and work with them and actually do this over here because, like I said, this whole thing that we have right now, there's a whole thing that they're afraid the grid's gonna break down.
And
They're
that,
using so much power on AI, like that. Even in Tennessee, people are getting asthma and getting sick because it's using so much energy. And then now they're over in Louisiana trying to get control the water sources over there to power AI and power all this. So even like living in America is about to become so toxic because they're trying to push so hard for technology. They don't give a fuck about the people that are living in these certain areas. So it's like, what are we doing? Like, what are we talking about?
that's why I keep saying like the answer is stems. Like we have to concentrate on physics and and upgrading our understanding about physics, because if we don't do that, we're gonna be lost or left behind in a technologically advancing world. You see what I'm saying? No, we can't do that. We have to stay here. We have to create think tanks here to create financial pools that and those financial pools will power a company that we will use to do all the things that we want to do. But as far as us all going over there, no,
I'm not
that's
saying
not how
all
we should
going
do that.
over there because we
Like
can't.
we,
They ain't got
yeah,
a
yeah,
million dollars.
I don't
And
mean
hey,
like
Laurel,
as an absolute.
and now at this point, now if everything you said is the movement, and it requires me to go get up under that tent, now I'm with it. Now I'm with it
Yeah.
if that's what we doing.
So
You get
so
what
the
I'm saying?
idea right, is to collect 1 million people, right? And we're going to use those 1 million people to fund everything that we're trying to do. You see what I'm saying? Now we just capped it off at 1 million. You know what I'm saying? Because it's an economic experiment. You know what I'm saying? So we get these 1 million people together. When after 2 years, we're gonna give everybody cell phones so you don't pay no more cell phone bills, right? So that's an extra $1,200 a year that you get to keep in your pocket, and then we subsidize your rent and your light bills and your gas bills and shit like that, all under the company name. You know what I'm saying? After five years of being with this company, you got the same credit as a company because you're using company credit. You're not using your own credit to do anything. So when we come to collectively and say, hey, it's a village over in Africa that we want to help, well, our multi-billion-dollar company will can go over there and build that shit in a week, 2 weeks. No,
By
no,
the
no
time
waiting
you
on
have that,
bureaucracy.
it will already be like sold up by
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
You
but I'm
don't listen. You don't listen. Hold
listen
on,
what
no,
I'm saying
no, no.
too.
You don't get in on something later on. Here's the thing: is that it right now is the gold rush. You're talking about something, building something over
No,
here
no, no.
and waiting
So listen
a
to
certain point, and maybe
listen.
people are over there right now while
One
they
thing
already
that
got it over
African
there. So
Americans
switching gears,
have
that's
as a
what
tool. We only have one thing as a tool. That's collective buying power and collective spending power. That's what we have. We don't have a bunch of resources. What we have is the fact that our black ass get up every day and fucking work. We are the human resources. We are the resources. We don't have to go nowhere. All you got to do is keep taking your ass to work, making that money, and then paying tribute to your own corporation. That's all you got to do. And then your corporation, in turn, will take care of you. The corporation, this is the total opposite of capitalism. We use the corporation to take care of those million people. Those 1 million people turn around and they basically live free. They're living free, and their whole job is to keep paying their membership dues to their company, so the company have money to go invest in other places, other micro businesses, and that way, not only are you're the financial investor, you're the financial investor of all these things. You see what I'm saying? So, or a collective, a pool. We got to collect resources as a pool. That's what's gonna make us more attractive to everybody else, is the fact that we got liquid money. It's just liquid money, and anything that we want, nigga, we point and the shit's done. We're not waiting for governments. We're not waiting on bureaucracy. No, it's our fucking corporation, and they're doing what they do. It'll be an African American corporation, and all those African nation is gonna want to partner with the African American corporation because of how we pool money, and we're using ourselves as a human resource. That's how we do it. You trying to go to other countries, use their resources. We got to use the resources we got, which is us, people, us. All of our music, all of our entertainment, all of that stuff can actually be pooled. Well, I ain't got to use all your shit, just a portion. All you need is a portion to pool the money. If it's 1 million and we could generate a $480 million a year, imagine what 10 million to do. Imagine what 10 million can do. You see what I'm saying? And the corporation is sole purpose is to do the things that African Americans want done, because we can't rely on the U.S. government to fucking put anything into our own interest. We have an interest of our own that does not align with the United States, so we got to create our own corporate body to handle our own
So now,
interests.
Laurel, my only question coming into it with every nickel I got, besides what I need to feed my family, is how do we determine what are the right companies or institutions to invest in? Because I think investing in schools in terms of going the STEM route, like I think I
Yeah,
heard you agree with,
right.
right? Like, how do we determine what's worth investing in? Because I think enough of that is already out there that once we figure that shit out, it's like, all right, come on. All we
Well,
need is the money. Let's
and
get these
that's
niggas
a
right.
great question. Now, my idea. This is my idea. Like I said, I'm trying to put together a think tank for this shit, so it ain't just me thinking. Right. The idea is that those million people, they just gonna open up a college. They're gonna open up a college, and all of their children go there free. All those million people who funded that company, all of their children go free, and all of their children go free. But everybody else got to pay tuition because you didn't put in.
As a board member, right?
Right.
The work that has to be done is number one, we gotta deal with getting that school
No, we
accredited.
don't.
Hold on, hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Even if it is accredited, like the average conversation is HBCU degree has to come with a 4.0 GPA. You know what I mean? If you're coming from Wharton or if you're coming from Smith, you go right in the door. So how can we make it marketable? Or are you saying you trying to work completely outside of these little niggas being an executive
Well,
at
I'm saying if we
Monsanto?
do it right,
Mm-hmm.
if we do it right, we will create a situation where the people that graduate from our schools, they graduate because they know how to do, because everything they do is all experience. It's not based on just textbook shit. You see what I'm saying? It's because
Right?
we actually putting these motherfuckers out in the field, and they getting that hands on in the field work. Elon Musk got a school like it.
Now, now wait,
Those
wait,
kids in those
Laurel.
school, everything is hands on. It ain't just people sitting in a
Now
room
that's the thing
listening
though,
to somebody
Laurel.
lecture.
Before we even get these little niggas up for that, because I'm with you, right? We have to already have a pipeline where it's gonna be profitable, right? Otherwise, they'll learn all that shit and end up going and working for Monsanto. You get what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The corporation
Just
will
knowing my
actually,
people like I know my people, my nigga.
right,
Because
right.
again, I'm
The
with you.
corporation would be like you would be winning so much with the corporation, you wouldn't want to go nowhere else. You see what I'm saying? Because once your rent, lights, and gas, and your cell phone bill, the
That
basic
would
shit
change a
that you
nigga
use,
life. Yeah,
that's life changing.
that
Like
would
you are
change a nigga life.
literally living free at this point.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So like the corporation has liberated your life. In fact, if you wanted to go on a life of leisure, you could do that. All you gotta do is keep paying your
So
membership dues.
now that little, you know what I mean, income, even if you pay a nigga less, shit, $30,000, you could live like a
Yeah, and
king.
it
You
wouldn't
ain't
even
gotta
matter.
pay no nothing, like no
Yeah,
rent.
it wouldn't even
I'm with
fucking
you.
matter. Not to mention
I'm with you.
we could create resorts, hotel resorts. We create projects just like the white man did, create projects that actually got utilities in them that actually work, where motherfuckers ain't throwing trash down chutes and all that stupid shit. Like we can actually do some shit. That whole shipping container shit, then we ain't gotta sit here and fuck around with them. Oh, we gotta these building inspection and all this, paying millions of dollars for
Yo,
buildings, and we ain't
Laurel,
got to
you
do none
know
of
it's
that
an
shit.
easy
All we gotta
market.
do is say
You
fuck
know
what
it's
they
an
talking
easy
about.
market. You and Ruben could kill like walking tours in like multiple black cities. Like we gotta find a way to mass produce this information that we have.
Right.
And literally we could turn these areas into tourist sites. Niggas want to see that shit. I was fucking with one nigga, he was putting me on to some shit. So when I did go to the Outer Banks in North Carolina, I went to motherfucking the hotel at Freak. You know what I mean? And then from there, that shit made me drive all the way to Wilmington, North Carolina. You know what I mean? Got the family in the car and shit. But there's a revenue stream and shit like that. That's the shit that I think we could set our kids up to make all the money they need to make before they go to college the next summer. Like, we could create real jobs, real revenue, and really, I'm with it.
Yeah, I think that y'all are making a big mistake by discounting Africa. I think y'all should just go take a trip over there and start talking to our African brothers and our expats over there. I think it's a big mistake to think that you can only do business in the United States. You're going to be able to have a better foothold with labor and things like that from a business standpoint. I think we should invest in their economy. When you invest in their economy like other countries are doing, you of a movement that's happening with the new industrialization of Africa. We are where we were with the
But sis,
new
that's not the argument,
AI
though.
situation, and all of those jobs are about to be gone. And we can like teach our kids STEM, but every kid is not going to be smart
No,
enough to
you're
do
not wrong when you say that.
uh,
But I'm
machine
saying
learning.
the
So
only
our
focus
kids
on our
they might be smart
children,
enough to work in
we
a factory, and guess what? All the factories are gone. You know, Home Depot,
that is
all these
correct.
little things that you see, Amazon, that shit is about to be gone. And in working at MIT and going to
We're
MIT
literally
to learn
saying that's the problem.
mathematics and
So we want to focus on STEM for the next generation, right?
That's a
That's
fact.
gonna cost
we
our
ain't even no
coffers. I ain't
generation.
got no money
We
for
don't even have
Africa.
no
Hold
kids,
on, hear what
though.
I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying.
How
Like,
old are
for
your
us to
kids? How old are
accomplish
your kids, sir?
mine,
What's your oldest child? What's your youngest child?
I got one at Asheville University right now. My middle son is 13, the starting quarterback on his football team, and the one that runs the show, she's about to be 6 next month.
Okay, so your 6-year-old is the closest thing to what you're talking about. So she might be able to be in
No,
STEM.
sis.
Everybody else is in
My son already
What's
knows
your
the
oldest child?
AI
What is his
market,
major right now?
know where it's going, right? Like, there are young black men, right, who are facing all the shit we're talking about. AI is gonna work in, hold on, a certain income. What I'm telling you is it's going to the point where even those women at the Walmart shop checkout counters that we at now, they're gonna be jobs with them. So we have to figure out how to make ourselves
On October 3rd through October 5th, the entire debate world comes together for 3 nights, 1 platform, 1 spectacle. This is not just another debate event. This is the grandest stage of them all. Debate Mania is the premier event in the debate community, the Super Bowl of intellect, the WrestleMania of words. The brightest minds, the fiercest rivalries, the biggest stakes. Here, champions are made, legacies are written, and only the sharpest minds survive. Debate Mania is the grandest stage of intellect. Big Hemi versus KOT at Debate Mania. It's the social media tournament final. Who speaks for the most high? Only one will stand victorious. Only one will leave as a champion. 1 debate. 2 warriors of faith and fire. Believers and skeptics watching. The truth will be tested, and only one voice will claim the crown. Big Hemi the biblical barbarian, a scripture-swinging powerhouse who brings the word like a hammer, breaking down doctrine with fearless conviction. Opposite him stands KOT of the New Torah movement, the sharp-minded Israelite who wields ancient text and modern insight to shatter tradition and rewrite the argument. At Debate Mania, the digital battlefield heats up for the Versus Series social media title. 2 voices. 1 burning question: is Jesus the Most High God? At Debate Mania, the path to the World Championship runs through an argument of history and belief. The question: did African Americans receive Christianity from Europeans? Big Hemi the biblical barbarian, scripture-driven, unapologetic, and ready to prove that faith for African Americans is deeper than we know. Across from him is Lucifer with clever dialogue to question the very roots of African American religious identity. 1 debate, 1 chance to claim the #1 contender spot, and a ticket to Battle of the Ideologies this November. History will be tested, and only 1 voice will earn a shot at the world title. 2 icons, 1 stage.
Run into nobody that addresses the messy part. So you haven't run into nobody that addresses the messy parts. Well, welcome.
Well, I didn't say #1.
Welcome to that's literally what you said. I just repeated what you just said.
You gonna see come debate night.
I just repeated what you just said. So you haven't run into nobody that addresses the messy parts. I'm here for you, bro. I'm gonna address all of the messy parts for you.
Okay.
I'll answer all of the questions that you and your followers need answered, right? Because when you say Pan-Africanism is not the solution, I cannot wait. I'm not even about to ask you right now what your alternative would be. Because I can't wait. Please explain to the people, because what's going to end up happening is you will have the solution, and everybody can just follow what you say. So after the debate, we'll be able to just go with that shit that you say, and we're gonna be good. So my work will be done.
What we're asking is a very critical question. Is there
Elaborate.
a liberation strategy for Black people in the 21st century, or is it simply a political fantasy? It actually appeals to emotion more than it delivers results. And this is something that when you look at on the surface, my brother, Pan-Africanism actually offers a beautiful idea. Unity amongst people, people of African descent worldwide, right? But when we examine history and the realities of today, right, it becomes clear that Pan-Africanism functions more as a romantic version of
It's a collision of worldviews and African traditions versus a radical challenge to modernize. 2 titans, 1 titan. No compromises. Debate Mania and the Muse versus Haru conscious. The words will cut deep, and only 1 voice will echo as the undisputed Versus Series world champion. The reigning champion, Pan Demez, a master strategist whose Pan-African vision has crushed every challenger, stands tall at the summit of debate supremacy. But across the stage waits a fearless disruptor, Haru conscious, the Asian superstar with a razor-edge intellect, determined to end Pan's dominance argument by argument. Giants about 2 unstoppable forces.